Hello everyone and welcome back to Skewb Breakdowns. So today I'm gonna break down two averages actually from the same round, so that's why I'm breaking down two at the same time. So this is Dominic Redisi's 1.67 average, which placed second at the Worlds, and Zayn Khanani's 1.72 average, which placed third at Worlds. And I'm skipping Ignace because his video isn't out yet, if he even has a video. But yeah, let's get right into it. So this is the first scramble, and here Dominic chooses, well, both of them choose the same layer, green, which is quite obvious here. And Dominic chooses to put it down with a red on top, so he can do the first move with his middle finger here, and then he can do that to do the layer. And Zayn chooses to do blue on top, so he does the first move like, I don't know, like that, I think, with basically mostly his right wrist, basically, but really both wrists a bit, and then he does that. But the thing is, Dominic, he finishes the layer and then does the standard algorithm, which if you don't know, is just take out the corner, do a sledge, do a hedge, and then that. And yeah, that's the standard algorithm. But Zayn does something more interesting. So what Zayn does here is he actually cancels into an algorithm because he knows some alternate algorithms apparently, and as if it wasn't enough to just know all 130 or so NS algorithms. But yeah, he does the layer like so, but instead of completing layer, he actually doesn't do this last move because he knows an algorithm that starts with that move, and the rest goes something like this. Like so. Okay, I had to read the algorithm because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I mean that's just some pro level stuff right there. Like knowing an alternate algorithm and knowing to cancel into it. That's just insane. Alright, here we have the second scramble. So here you can quite easily see that the best color is green because we have this huge block here, and yeah, this makes for a 4-move layer, which Dominic does. I don't quite remember the finger tricking he does when he picks it up, but I mean, it's quite a simple layer. So I mean, you can just figure out what works best for you. And then he does this NS algorithm, and this is a really nice NS algorithm. Now the thing is, I would do it like this, and then regrip like that, so I'm already here when I can do that last part. But Dominic instead does something quite interesting. He kind of follows with the hand up here, so he can do that, and then just do that last part. And you know, he has to regrip before that last part, but he does it very smoothly. So maybe his version is better. I don't know. Maybe it's just personal preference. I mean, he is really fast, so I mean that seems to imply that his version is a bit better. But yeah, I just wanted to point out the different ways to finger trick that. Now Zayn does something quite interesting, because you know it's a 4-move layer, so you would assume he just one-looked the layer and saw like which NS it was, and I guess he did one-look it. But what he also did was he also seems to have one-looked the TCLL, and I just find that absolutely incredible. I mean, there are very few people who know TCLL on Skewb, and the fact that he one-looked probably both the layer and the TCLL and notice that the TCLL was better, that's just crazy. So what he does is he almost does the green layer, but yeah, the first move is the same, and then instead of finishing it like Dominic does, he finishes like this instead. So that corner is twisted. So you can see that that is a TCLL. And it's a really nice alg. I mean, you probably shouldn't learn it before you finished at least NS and probably EG2 as well, because you really won't have any use for this. Because you'll basically have to learn this entire alg set, or at least be able to one look whenever you use it. So what you do is, over here you do a sledge, and then you bring that down, and then I think this is sort of like the NS as well. You just sort of do a sledge, but you go up instead of down on the last one, so you do that, and it's done. So that's a really nice TCLL algorithm, and yeah, that was the second solve. Now here on the third scramble, both Zayn and Dominic do the same thing here, and it's quite obvious what they do because you see this yellow block here. Now unfortunately this isn't the best of layers, but I mean, the pros like Zayn and Dominic can quite easily one-look this. Like it isn't that many moves actually, but I mean it's a bit uncomfortable to do, I would say. But yeah, you do the layer like this. But instead of completing this last move, you can actually see that when I do this move, it's gonna be this NS, which actually starts with this move. So this was the last move of the layer right here. So instead of going this way, we just go this way directly into the NS, and then we just finish it like that. That's very nice. And both Zayn and Dominic did this same thing. So that was the third solve. Alright, so here is Scramble 4, and obviously the most obvious thing to do here is to do blue layer, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. And then it's a really easy NS. But of course these guys are pros, so they have some tricks. So basically, Dominic basically does blue layer. He does the first moves, but then he cancels into this really unusual algorithm, which I have never seen before. Like, it isn't even in the Skewb resources PDF. So basically, this algorithm starts with an R move, which we have already done because we've cancelled into it. And then it goes something like this, and I don't know the exact finger tricks. I mean, it's too difficult to figure out all of the finger tricks from the camera angles that we have. But I mean, you can try to figure out something yourself. So we do B, R, B, R prime, B prime, and then rotate and insert. And that's a really quick algorithm. I mean, the entire algorithm starts with that, so I guess it isn't like too quick, but I mean, if I just do it now, I mean, okay, I'm locking up quite a bit, but I mean, it's pretty quick. But yeah, I've never seen that specific variation, so that's quite interesting. And then what Zayn does is even more interesting, because Zayn doesn't even do the blue layer. He does white layer, which isn't at all obvious, because that's a lot of moves. So I guess he must have one-looked blue layer, and saw that it was fairly good, and then one-looked white layer as well, which is, I mean, that's Zayn Khanani for you, I guess. He just one-looked like every single possible layer. So basically, this layer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves. That's pretty bad, but you can see that you get this really easy, that really easy algorithm. So And what you can also notice is, if I just do white layer real quick, the first two moves of the algorithm were also the last two moves we did of the layer. So we can actually cancel 2 moves into the algorithm and make it really quick. So I mean, that's like I didn't count, like 5 or 6 move algorithm there because we cancel 2 moves of the layer. So that's an extremely good solve from Zayn. I mean, being able to see, to be able to one-look the white layer, and he must have done it after the blue layer, because the blue layer is obvious that you would do that. So that's just incredible. And here we have the 5th scramble. So it's quite easy to see that there's a 3-move yellow layer here. So Dominic does the quite obvious and puts it down like this, and then does the yellow layer. I think he actually finger tricked it a bit differently, because he ends up right here, which is exactly where you want to be able to do this algorithm, because this is a really easy algorithm, and it starts from this grip. So basically he finger tricks the first layer, so he ends up in this grip, and then he just does the algorithm. But he did it a lot less lucky than I did. And then there's Zayn, who does the exact same solution, but interestingly he puts it down like this. And I would personally like never put down the layer I want to solve in the top. But he makes it work. I mean, he gets a really good time. So like he does something like that, probably a better grip like that. Again, I'm not the best at finger tricks, so yeah, both of these guys can, of course, end up in the correct grip to be able to do the algorithm, and yeah, Zayn just does the exact same thing. So it's quite interesting to see how to pick it up differently and how that might work for different people. But again, in the end, they did the same solution on the fifth one. So that's it for the World Championship Finals average from Zayn Khanani and Dominic Redisi. And I hope you learned something, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.